And we are live 31 more days with Brian and Ed, but you just have Ed here so far. Brian's experiencing some technical difficulties on his end. He's trying to work out the bugs on that, and hopefully he'll join us here shortly. But for now, you just have me. So we have a full hour in front of us, just myself and the Facebook world. So hopefully some of you guys can join in and ask some questions with our special guest, Andrew Stockey, that will be joining us from WTAE here in just a little bit. We'll ask Andrew a whole bunch of questions about what he's up to in quarantine. He's still doing the news. You can still see him on WTAE each and every day, but a little bit different. Sometimes he's at home. Sometimes he's in the studio. Some of his co-anchors are doing the same. So anxious to ask him kind of the dynamics behind what is exactly going on in the news world and how they're making this work with the whole quarantine situation. Myself, this is usually when Brian kind of asks me, what are you up to today? What's going on in quarantine world? 31 more days. And today there's some speculation that our shutdown could be going on even longer than April 30th. Nothing official yet, but some things out there that could be extending this just a little bit longer into the month of May. Some other cities across the U.S. have already extended theirs to mid-May and also into June. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with that here in Western Pennsylvania, in particular the Pittsburgh area, to see what happens if we'll still be on lockdown well past April 30th. What else is going on in the world here today, right? I think one thing over the weekend that I'm sure we would have talked about was what were we up to on Easter? Easter had definitely a different look from this past from past years. What did we do during our Easter break? I know myself, we just kind of hung out, obviously didn't go anywhere, didn't see any family, which was definitely a lot different than in times past. So that was definitely a different look for us, and I'm sure everybody out there as well, but we made it work. And it's just the time that we're in right now that you have to try to make everything work given the circumstances and the situations that you're in. I know one thing that I've been doing is a lot of cooking, a lot of cleaning, a lot of home projects, and something came out today about 84 Lumber and Home Depot and Lowe's have experienced a surplus in people coming out and buying things and doing different things, home projects, and I'm definitely part of that. I'm sure a lot of people are as well, as they try to make the most of this situation during the downtime of what's happening out there. So anxious to kind of see some comments that maybe some folks will have some questions about what did you do on Easter? What were you up to? And you're noticing something right now, 31 days with Brian and Ed, that you need Brian here in order to make this work. It's tough just to go solo. It's tough just to go one. I do a lot of sports broadcasting, a lot of high school stuff, and I've done a lot of high school games, football, basketball games by myself, and that's easy. But when you get on here on Facebook Live and do the dynamic show that Brian and I do, it's very hard to do this by yourself. I'm figuring that out right away because you need the other person to talk to. So hopefully Brian gets his mic in check. But if not, we'll have Andrew Stockey on with us here in a little bit, and we could kind of talk to him and see what is going on in his world. And like I said, in the sports world as well, sports has definitely changed. That's something I could definitely talk about, right? There's still some speculation out there right now going on that, are we going to have the baseball seasons? Is the NHL going to come back and have their postseason and their playoffs? Be very interesting to see what happens there. The NBA, of course, still on the hook as well. And football came out today and said they're going to do virtual OTAs. So that should be interesting. The NFL Players Association approved their voluntary workouts to be digital. I'm not sure how that looks or how that comes into play, but it should definitely be interesting to see what happens in that world. Hey, I want to say hello to a couple people that are texting away and putting in some of their information to say hello. Heather says hello. What's going on, Heather? Jen says hello. She watched The Upside and relaxed. The Upside. I've definitely seen that. That's very good. TJ, it's TJ, our buddy TJ's birthday today. Happy birthday, TJ. He said that he had Easter meatloaf. Well, that's interesting. That's something you don't always have on Easter is meatloaf. We grilled some ham steaks on the grill, so we didn't do the full crazy ham big dinner here, but we made it work on our end. So who else is checking in here today? Derek Rocco's watching, our good friend Derek. What's up, D-Rock? Been a long, long time. Jeff says hello. He's on the watching here tonight as everybody gets ready to have Andrew Stockey on here in a little bit that we'll talk to. Also coming up this week, we have an exciting week of guests. So make sure you check that out. Brian, I know, posted some stuff here a little bit ago. Derek Rocco says WPPJ reunion, me, you, and McKim. Who says no? D-Rock, we'll definitely do that. Absolutely. It'd be fun to get the old college radio station gang back together. That did a lot of cool stuff. Heather watched the Taylor Swift documentary. So good. So, Heather, I and my wife both big Taylor Swift fans, and we've liked Taylor Swift from the beginning, way back in the day. And I am not ashamed to admit that here on 31 Days with Brian and Ed. And I did watch the Taylor Swift documentary a couple weeks ago, and I agree with you. It was very, very good and interesting to see behind the scenes and how she makes everything work. Taylor Swift is a corporation. She's not just an artist, man. She is a full-out corporation, everything that she does. But anyhow, as we were saying, we have a big week of guests coming up. Bubba Snyder just checked in. We're going to have Bubba on Friday, so anxious to see what he's up to. Bubba has a son. I'm anxious to get this take on him. A senior at South Fayette, excellent baseball player, going to Seton Hill next fall. Very good football player as well. And anxious to hear his thoughts on his son now missing his senior season. That is a bummer, man. Definitely feel bad for him missing out his senior year there at South Fayette. A lot of people that are up against that, man. A lot of athletes here across Western Pennsylvania that are not able to play their senior seasons. I coach both of my sons. Are you there, Brian? Not working. Still not working. Just leave your picture up, though, because people would still like to look at your gray beard and try to envision what you'd have to say. But back to my point, though, and Andrew Stock, anxious to get Andrew's thoughts. There you go. There's a little joke for you. Thoughts on what he's thinking about with a lot of these athletes missing out on their senior seasons due to the shutdown of the high school sports and college sports, for that matter, too. It's just a tough time out there for a lot of folks that work really hard and get prepared for these seasons, and then not able to fulfill that last year of eligibility in some cases and have to move on. So that should definitely be topic of conversation. But later this week, we're also going to have Josh Yohe on from The Athletic. Josh is the Pittsburgh Penguins beat writer and NHL writer as well. So, a lot of people have been wanting to talk about the Pens and talking about the NHL and the playoffs, if it'll happen, how would that look if it did? And you should definitely tune in for Josh on Thursday as we'll talk to him about all NHL and Penguin-related stuff. And Mark Cabali from The Athletic as well will be joining us on Wednesday. Mark is the Steelers beat writer for The Athletic and also covers the NFL. So we'll get Mark's thoughts on Wednesday as well to see what he thinks. Of course, we had Ray Fittipaldo on last week and got his thoughts. He covers the Steelers for the Post-Gazette. So be anxious to get his thoughts as far as Mark Cabali goes on what's going on with the Steelers. And Powerhouse Hughes, my good buddy Bill Powerhouse Hughes, will be joining us tomorrow night, Tuesday. Bill is a local wrestler for over the years, but is also a writer for the Herald Standard out of Uniontown, covers high school sports out that way, also writes our weekly wrestling column, and is a big Penn State and college football and college basketball fan. So we can get his take on what's going on in the college sports world. And there's a bunch of other guests this week too, but those were the ones that I was responsible for. So those are the ones that I know that are coming on, but I know Brian has lined up some other folks for later this week as well, covering some various topics of what's going on. So I want to thank John for joining us here tonight. I see he's looking for Brian. Brian, of course, we're having some technical difficulties on his end. His mic not working. We can see his face, but we just can't hear him. But you can hear me, so that's a good thing. Brian's on as well. He says the show is better without me. Good night. Need you here, big man. Need that big gray beard. People don't want to look at my bald head. They want to see your big gray beard and have you come on to talk to everybody. Patty's watching. I've never called her Patty. I've always called her Mrs. Carruthers or Mrs. C, just being respectful, even though she always tells me to call her Patty. But Brian's mom's watching tonight, and hello to her. She's one of our biggest fans. She always checks in. So we've got a nice audience here tonight watching myself and watching what I have to say to the Facebook world. So hopefully we'll get Andrew Stockey on here in a little bit. We can talk to a little bit to him about what's going on in that world. So, yeah, if everybody, has anything to say, any questions for Andrew, please make sure you post it right here on the Facebook page. I'll be glad to talk to him a little bit about that. But, woke up today and was hoping to see some good news across the nation when it comes to what's going on with the COVID-19. And as we've talked about each and every week here on 31 More Days with Brian and Ed, it's hard to find one positive story because it's usually followed up with a negative story. And yesterday, was similar in some ways. They're talking about the state of Pennsylvania, and the curve is starting to flatten. It's starting to hopefully go the other way. We're all doing a good job staying in our homes, particular here in Western Pennsylvania, when you look at the numbers compared to the eastern side of the state in the Philly area. But then, so you feel good about that, but then you scroll down and you start reading more stories on, what's the timeline on this? Are we going to be stuck here in our houses until the end of May, maybe the end of June, maybe into July? I know personally our family canceled our Myrtle Beach, our yearly Myrtle Beach trip in June. Just doesn't seem like it's going to work this year. And even if it would work, do you want to be in a crowded hotel, crowded pool, crowded beach? Right now, we kind of chose that we do not. So we don't feel like we're ready for that quite yet. Hopefully by then, though, hopefully by June, it'll be more of looking in the rearview mirror and thinking maybe we could have done it. But right now, that's kind of where my family is and where we are as far as vacationing goes. Anxious to see if anybody else is keeping their vacation plans throughout the summer and see what they're up to. It's a tough time out there for sure. Tough to make a decision these days. You have to second guess every single decision you make. If you go outside and want to go talk to a neighbor, you second guess that decision, right? How close can you get? How far can you get? How close can you get? If you need to go to the grocery store or go get gas or even just go to a park and walk around. It's tough to figure those things out these days without second guessing yourself that you don't get sick. Brian, still can't hear Brian, but there he is. I think we have Andrew Stockey. Do you have him? Is he ready to bring him in? Brian's going to bring him in once he's on. Brian, actually, for those that want to know behind the scenes of 31 More Days with Brian and Ed, I know you're anxious to know the behind the scenes. Brian runs the controls from his computer. So apparently he can still run his controls. He just can't run his mic. His mic is not working. So Jason Griner's watching, our good buddy Jason from our Point Park days. What's up, Jason? Scott Stoner, my neighbor, is watching, and I'm happy to report that Scott did cut his grass over the weekend. So the Scott Stoner grass cutting watch is now officially over here in 2020. He is now has his grass cut. So I see Jeff's comment is turn your mic on, but I believe my mic is working, right? If mine isn't, please somebody else comment and let me know it's not. I think Brian's mic is the one that isn't working, and I think he has tried to turn it on several times, but he just can't get it to work. But yeah, Scott cut his grass over the weekend. I cut mine a second time, and with that,
can you see me?
We have Andrew. We don't have any video, but we can hear you.
You have no video?
No, we cannot see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, well, maybe we should just do radio then, if that's okay.
We could do a radio version of this interview, huh?
I'm sorry about that. I see myself on a split screen.
Andrew, if you could log out and then click back in,
okay.
Sometimes that works.
Let's give it a try here. I'll be right back.
All right, thank you, sir. So you heard Andrew Stockey. We just couldn't see him. And boy, are we having all kind of technical difficulties tonight. So the good news is we can see Brian, but we can't hear him. And we just heard Andrew Stockey, but we couldn't see him. So could we put both of those worlds together? Maybe we could have Brian's face and Andrew's voice, and then they could both just kind of talk to me and look at me. I think that would be fun. Maybe we should give that a try in a little bit. JJ says, Ed, that head is looking shiny and great. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Got it all shaved up and ready to go tonight. Andrew, are you there now? We do have Andrew's. There he is. Now we got you up.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Now
that's not pretty sure. That was like 5 weeks ago.
How you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm good. Just hang out here at home. Just finished up a busy week of work and a busy day of work, excuse me, and looking forward to joining you. This is kind of cool, having your own talk show at home.
Yeah, Brian's with us, but not with us. He's experiencing some technical difficulties with his
Yeah.
mics. We can't hear him. We can see his face, but we can't hear him. So it's just you and me for now until he works that out. And then we couldn't see you for a while, so I thought we could take Brian's face and your voice and maybe combine the two and give it a go. But Andrew, talk to us a little bit about what you're up to. On WTAE. I watch Channel 4 a lot, and sometimes you're in the studio, and when you're in the studio, it seems like you're doing from 4 or 5 o'clock all the way through till 12 o'clock at night. But then times like this evening, you were doing a report from home. So how's that all working?
Well, what we're just trying to do is kind of keep people apart. You want the fewer people you have in the office, the better. So we're kind of taking shifts. Mike Clark and Jan Bryan are on this week. I'm here at home. I'm sure it will change as time goes on. The first 2 weeks of this, I was home. They were on the air. So it's just a way to kind of socially distance, even within the business that we work in and the newsroom we work in. It's been quite an experience working from home and doing television, because you're going live in parts of your house. You have a makeshift studio, which is kind of weird. Like I've turned my TV into a big screen with all the graphics behind me. I've gone live from in front of my house, behind my house. But when you're in the studio, there's so much going on between the newscast. You're carrying all the press conferences from the Department of Health, the governor's press conferences, the president's press conference, that it's just nonstop until you finally get home. So it's been a very draining few weeks because this is a story that obviously is emotionally impactful, and it changes every single hour. It's not even by the day, it's by the hour.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And right before you came on, I was just talking about it. Every day you wake up and you're looking for good news on this, and you find a good news story, but then you find 2 or 3 more negative ones right afterwards. It's just really hard and challenging these days with this COVID-19 story to pull some positives just to make us feel like maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, I like to think there is. I mean, I think we're all doing what we're supposed to do at this point. It is hard, though. I mean, every single day you're updating the number of people infected, the number of people who have died. And, at least here in Pennsylvania, that continues to go up. It can be very disheartening. And it's a strange situation because we've never faced anything quite like this. But as you know, being from Western PA, that we have a way, at least here, of rallying around each other and helping each other through the very difficult times. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. Our neighbors are helping our neighbors, be it the food bank, whether it's just those neighborhood parades, birthday parades for kids. And forgive me, I'm getting a little feedback, so if I sound a little disoriented, that's why.
You're good. You're good.
Thank you. But what we're doing is we're rallying and helping one another. Right. I mean, even in my own neighborhood, I see my neighbors, which has actually been a good thing because I usually at work or I'm somewhere else, I'm out doing some event, and I never see my neighbors. So this is the first time I've actually spent time with my neighbors. So in many ways, we're taking advantage of this and using it to try and become more as a community. Already we are, but I think we're just taking it to the next level with what's happened with this whole pandemic, which I hope will at least be on the downslope sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Andrew. And that's something that Brian and I have talked a lot. We've been doing these 31 days with Brian and Ed Facebook Live videos for this is our 3rd week now.
Oh, wow.
So we've had a lot of conversation. There's Brian.
Hey, Andrew. How are you, man?
Hey, Brian. How are you?
We made it.
Brian's now probably using his wife's laptop. He's not allowed to use it until it's an emergency situation.
Of course.
He didn't
kick her off solitaire.
But
Andrew, have you had a ton of technical difficulties so far on TAE operating from home?
No, not really. No, I have 2 laptops. I have 2 Wi-Fi hotspots. I've got 2 phones. I got what else do I have? I have an iPad, actually 2 iPads. So I've got everything I possibly need. It's just the whole idea of doing something you're not used to doing. I'll be the first to say, a month ago, I had no idea what this was. Now, I know it like the back of my hand. Skype I've done a little bit of, now I'm doing it all the time. So every day I'm learning something new, and we're going through workflows and trying to make things work. It's been a real experience, and in many ways, I think we'll come out of this much more able to broadcasters, obviously with more skills. I'll be curious to see how this relates to what we do moving forward. Because what we're doing now is something that at the beginning of the year, so they're saying maybe 2 years from now. We're doing it today, making more information out.
Andrew, we have your audio cutting in and out a little bit there. I'm not sure if there's anything on your end you can do. I'm not sure. Maybe there you go.
I'm afraid to touch anything. I'm here.
You're right. Don't touch anything.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Hey, Andrew, being sports director, we have a question from John
Sure.
about the XFL. Do you think that they would have been successful through this if it didn't happen in this terrible time of the pandemic?
I think so. I really do. I think the success is what people watch it, not so much to be the next NFL. But what they put on the air was entertaining, was fun. I'll tell you what I enjoyed. I never heard a conversation with the referee and the instant replay booth. You don't see that in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I learned so much hearing that conversation that now when I'm watching the NFL, I have a better understanding of what goes on and making that decision. So I think if anything, it makes you more knowledgeable, man. It makes you want to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting how, and we talked about this, I think, on Saturday, Brian, about the XFL. This was their second attempt, of course, in 20 years, but nobody can compete with the NFL, it seems like. And one thing we talked about too, Andrew, was we feel like we need an offseason. You know, we're all big Steeler fans, we're all big NFL people, but you know, come February, we're ready for some basketball, hockey, and eventually baseball.
Well, this was a very weird spring, wasn't it? I mean, although it's weird, I didn't really miss the NCAA tournament. I thought I would, and I didn't. What I missed is baseball. Before this started, I was down in Florida at spring training, just a fan. I used to go from week to year. So I was watching the Pirates, I saw the Blue Jays, I saw the Tampa Bay Rays, Red Sox, all playing on that second half of Florida. And it was so much fun to watch baseball. It got me in the mood. And I came back here, everything shut down. And that's why I miss the most. I love baseball. You know, regardless of what you think of the Pirates, there's something about going to the ballpark and sitting back and watching a baseball game. And that's what I really do.
I agree. That hit me the hardest. I thought that was the first moment of depression sinking in that baseball was really postponed. Do you think we'll see a game at PNC Park this year?
Yes. The question is, will fans come? You know, fans who just are upset with the team. I mean, will fans go to the game? And I'm curious to see how things play out, you know, in terms of people sitting in the stands, watching a baseball game. I think baseball will be back. I think we will have games. The question is, will the fans come and embrace it like they did prior to all? And that's the big question mark, especially with football. I mean, I can't see 63,000 people at Steeler games in September. I don't know if you guys can.
There's no way. Then we're Cleveland all of a sudden. But you know what? That's true. It's true. And then you think about Major League Baseball has had these crazy ideas that at least good for them that they're trying to just stay out there, that they're thinking about how to make this work where everyone's going to stay in Florida or Arizona, or the strangest was the quarantine idea where they were going to live in quarantine hotels and play in Little League fields. At least they're trying something, though.
Well, it's at least people are going to watch. There's an audience out there. I think the really interesting thing is the NFL draft is next Thursday. It's the first live sports that we've had since it's begun. It's not really sports. It's basically people picking players, but it is sports. The ratings, I'm sure, will be through the roof because people want to watch sports. I know right now, esports are taking off. There are people actually watching video games like MLB The Show on television, presented as actual baseball. And people are watching.
Well, last night I hit rock bottom, Andrew. Everyone went to sleep after my wife made this great dinner. My kids fall asleep. My wife falls asleep. ESPN, and I'm face to face with the horse competition. Chris Paul versus someone from the WNBA, and I thought, this is the end. There's no light in sight right now. And I watched it for an hour and a half.
An hour and a half?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then ESPN covered it after. They recapped it. Sports Center. Yeah. So you haven't hit the horse game yet on TAE?
Here's what I do. I'm a gamer. Okay. I have MLB The Show. I have Madden 20. I play those games nonstop. In fact, I'm in the midst of playing the Pirates season. Right now, through this weekend, they are 2-10. Okay, I'm doing the best I can. They're 2-10.
Hey, can I watch that? I'm desperate. Can I? Is there some way I can watch that
Andrew,
on TV?
I gotta play you in Madden sometimes, man. I play Madden with my sons, but I also play I play Madden by myself as well when I'm on the treadmill, believe it or not. Every day I do the treadmill. I play Madden while I'm on the treadmill, man. It makes that hour pass very quick.
I tell you, I love it. I've been doing this for 20 years now. I remember when John Madden was still on the cover of Madden. That's how long it's been. And I love playing it. It's fun. It's and while I'm doing it, I'll admit, I do play-by-play. So I'm literally like yelling at the screen and sitting there and all this and calling the games. And, I mean, people outside of now you guys know, but if anybody knew, I'm silly.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Desperate times call for desperate measures, right? Well, and so the interesting part will be, when will sports return? When will anything return? And will the rules change on it? The thing with Major League Baseball that is so strange was, will the players wear masks? Will you see Josh Bell at first base and Adam Frazier at second? They're both wearing masks when they're playing these games. How bizarre!
I don't know. I mean, that's the question. I mean, there's so many unknowns. I mean, today we're having a discussion, at least news-wise. The governors of Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Connecticut getting together, saying, "Okay, how do we go about reopening our states?" Okay, that question has not even been answered. And so, for you to think about baseball and football, it's hard to. It really is. I mean, I think it'll happen. I just don't see it happening in a hurry or quickly the way we want it to. I mean, I hope we don't go the whole summer without sports, but you just never know because there's so many questions.
And you wonder about how live events happen. We had I can't remember who was even talking about it the other night, but WrestleMania was in front of a crowd of no one. Now that needs, I mean, that's theatrics, of course, but man, a Steeler game in an empty stadium, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Well, if you watch late night TV, if you watch Kimmel or Seth Meyers or anybody, you watch the monologue, and without audience or even a laugh track, it's hard to watch.
Yeah.
Because you realize how important fans are, or the audience is part of the presentation. Whether or not the joke may be funny, but it's not nearly as funny because you don't hear other people laugh.
It's true.
Hey, Andrew, I know you came up when you came into the Pittsburgh market doing sports.
You remember that long ago?
I do. Oh, I do. I'm going to tell you another thing, too, which you probably don't recognize me or remember me, but I job shadowed you when I was at Bell Vernon High School back in like 1997, over 20 years. I was with you for a whole day, man, and it was awesome. And I'll never forget it. You were first class. Everybody that was around. And the biggest thing I remember that day was going into some room and watching the Oprah show because it was on right before you guys came out, and they were like feeding it to you guys at like 1:00 in the afternoon. And I was blown away. Like, why is Oprah coming down at 1 when it's not on till like 4:00? and I remember like getting.
Wait, that's what you learned? That's all you learned from the job shadow with Andrew?
Oh my goodness. Well, that tells you how old I am. I've been around that long.
Yeah, but
when you started in '95 in Pittsburgh, Andrew, did you think that you had the lasting power? Did you want Pittsburgh? Did you want another city? Did you want to go back to Chicago, or how did it end up that you're with us in 2020?
It's funny you mentioned that because my 25th anniversary was last month, and I wrote something on my Facebook page about that. I grew up in Connecticut originally. I was born in Chicago. I grew up in Connecticut. And when I got this business, I wanted to work in Boston, New York, LA, sportscaster. And it was one of those things where you find a place where you fit. And this is the place where I fit in terms of, I'm a small town guy. I grew up in a small town. I have a lot of small town values. And I think Pittsburgh was the perfect fit for me. And I apparently was a good fit for Pittsburgh. And I love the fact that high school sports are important here. I love the fact that people know if you're in town, they know exactly where it is. I love that we all feel like we have a stake in this community. It just seemed like a perfect place. And I've spent almost half my life here, and I am so happy I did. I don't regret it. I never sit there and say, gee, I wish I lived in a bigger city. Because there's so many things about Pittsburgh that had I not been here for the last 25 years, I don't know if I'd be doing what I'm doing now. So this is a perfect place for me, and I'm incredibly happy to be here. And I can't believe it's been 25 years.
Yeah, because you see so much turnover and change when you see all the local stations. You're at times a sight for sore eyes because you see some people and we're Pittsburghers, right? So we're used to seeing Sally on at 5 and then going to Andrew, and then you think, wait a second, who's this guy? And then like you panic a little bit. You go, oh wait, okay, Andrew's coming in to do sports. Andrew's still here. I'm feeling good.
I will say this. I mean, I don't think of myself as Sally Wiggin or Joe Bernardo or Myron Cole. Three people I admire tremendously who I've gotten over the years, who have taken under their wing and showed me what it meant to be a broadcaster here in Pittsburgh. I realize that I have the same role people had, but I will never be them because our world is so different now. And influence they had back then, it's hard to have in this day and age with all the options and everything. But at the same time, you feel like you're the steward who keeps that going. I think it means a lot. When you say you shadowed me or grew up watching me. I mean, I work with people now, Kelly Sasso, for instance, or Brittany Hoke. And the first time I met them, they were like, I grew up watching you, which made me feel old, but also made me feel like, okay, I have a role and people rely on me. So I'm part of this tradition, but I'm not of those great names. I mean, I will never be Joe DiNardo or Sally Wiggin, or frankly, I don't want to be because they were originals that will never be replaced.
Well, I think you're original in yourself as well, Andrew. So I think you're a humble guy too, but you do have a very solid place, I think, in history of Pittsburgh news for sure.
For sure. And Andrew, I've covered high school football and basketball for the last 20 years, working most recently with Trib Live, High School Sports Network. And what you guys have done on your Friday night coverage of high school football, because there was only FETCO, right? You had FETCO on Channel 11 and Skylights and the craziness of that. And then TAE comes in and you guys devote, 15 minutes of a 30-minute newscast every Friday night in the fall to show more than just one game, a whole bunch of games, right?
Well, it's a commitment that I think our station made when I first got there. Operation Football is 25 years old, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
The whole premise is, look, the kids are the stars. Friday night, 11:15 is their night. It's not about me. It's not about our reporters. It's about the kids, the cheerleaders, the band, and the fans. And what we want to do is take what we think is kind of like our miniature NFL in Western PA, which is the Whitby League, and share the excitement and the fun every Friday night. And I always tell people all the things I do, and that includes covering the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates. I enjoy high school football the most because it's fun. People watching.
Right.
They're just going to hear their name. And we never sit there. We don't sit there and say, okay, this kid messed up. This kid made a mistake. I mean, if somebody gets kicked off, I'm not going to say his name. You go through the ball. But we're going to celebrate what's a Western PA tradition. And like I said, it's something I enjoy because I know people want to see it. The least I can do is just get out of the way and show it to them.
Yeah, I love that response. But we've all been in meetings with program directors and people who are putting money into these and decision makers. I can only imagine the conversations when you guys sat down and watched those old Fedco tapes and wonder, what the hell are we watching?
Now, wait a minute. Before we say, look, John, I will say John Fedco is somebody that I admire because high school football was not a TV thing.
True.
I mean, he started a TV thing. We all have a different way of doing it. And John made it bigger than life. And I think for that, he should be credited. We found different ways to do it. He found a way to do it that made high school football as big as it was, bigger because it was a big television. We just decided that we were going to take a different approach because that's who we are. And over time, it's worked out. So, but I think everybody brings something unique to the table, whether it's Bob Pompiani, who I tremendously respect and admire, or John Fedco, who found a way to make it entertainment as much as it was sports. For us, who we've decided, look, the game speaks for itself.
Well, when Brian and I were little, growing up here in the Pittsburgh area, we came up watching Bill Hillgrove and Myron Cope, and the Staggerwaltz and Pompiani. He was younger back then. But dude, we put you. I mean, I bought, and I hope you take this as a compliment. When I think of Pittsburgh sports broadcasters, I'm thinking Bob Pompiani, Andrew Stockey. The two of you right there. I mean, I think you're right there.
Don't forget Albie Oxenrider.
Oh, I forgot about Albie.
Don't forget the Ox. Don't forget the Ox.
I forgot.
Well, it's funny. I know there's a great history of sports broadcasting, even just in Channel 4. I mean, whether it's Bill Hillgrove, Myron Cope. I mean, you go back in time, people who are held the chair that hold, you feel a sense of responsibility to do the best you can and be the person that people want to tune into. And more importantly, don't let yourself overwhelm the moment or be bigger than the moment. Now, Myron Cope is different. Myron was one of a kind, unique, very smart. I don't think people realize how smart a guy he was and how much he really didn't know. But he was who with some personality. But I'm a broadcaster. I'm a journalist, and I don't care about my. I don't offer it. I ask. My job is, hey, what's going on? Tell you what happened. What you decide.
Yeah, that was an interesting transition. What year did you change from the anchor role to the sports role?
Actually, I went from sports to. I'll take you through.
Wait, sports to anchor, then anchor to sports.
So I was a sportscaster when I got here in '95. After the Steelers won Super Bowl 40, my boss said, "Hey, why don't you give the news desk a try for a week?" I'm like, okay. So I anchored it for a week, and they said, "Look, we thought you did a great job." And they decided to move me to the mornings I wanted. So I took it. So because I've done sports for 10 years, I'm like, they won a Super Bowl. What else could possibly happen? So I joined Kelly Fry, and we collaborated for 2.5 years. And I learned a lot about news. I learned how much I really enjoyed it and liked it, and realized, sports is great, but it's the bigger world. And so I did that, and I moved to evenings after that for 3 years. And then they said, look, we want to have you back in sports. I mean, as you said, you're part of the fiber of the sports fan here. So they created this role that we were before, right? News. And sports director on 611 Sports. I've done that the last 9 years. And I think it's worked because two reasons. Number one, people trusted me as a news anchor. They understood what I was doing. They believed what I was doing. They knew I was knowledgeable what I was talking about. And they already knew me in sports. The other reason it works is because you have two different audiences. There are people who watch me at 5 o'clock who have no idea about sports. There are people watching me at 6 and 11 that have no idea. So in many ways, it really worked out. And I have the best of both worlds, but it's two jobs. So it's all the work.
It must be so good to be you right now, Andrew. Who is cutting your hair secretly?
Oh my
Not
God!
listening to governor's orders. You look perfect.
No,
you don't
no,
look
no.
quarantined. You don't look quarantined. God.
It looks so bad. I know all about gel now and mousse because that's what's keeping it together. I haven't had a haircut in 5 weeks. I mean, no. I know everybody thinks I look fine. I don't think I look fine.
You look crisp, man. You look like you're straight out of the barber shop. I'm jealous. I can't. I mean, I look homeless. This is taking a toll on
me. You got Ed's perfect. Look at that. I mean, I'm thinking about going with Ed's look.
Ed's got a good look too.
It's maintenance free, man. It's maintenance free.
No, I need a haircut the worst way.
Andrew, do you still have a passion for sports? I mean, I know you're still doing some sports, obviously with the station, but you're now the news guy too. But I mean, what burns in you, man, for the passion still? Is it still sports, or are you now a news guy?
No, I love both. I mean, I'm a sports fan. I was at all the Steeler games down the stretch when they tried to make the playoffs, and my heart ached when they got lost to the Ravens. I love winning the baseball game. I do want the Pirates to win. I mean, I want to see it happen because still the greatest moment of my career, I think, was covering a sporting event, was the 2013 wild card game. I've never seen anything like it. I would love to see that like that again. So sports is still a passion for me. The hard part is, what the world you realize is a bigger place than just sports. You realize sports is a game. Even though you see Mike Tomlin get emotional, you see other coaches get emotional, in the final analysis, it's a game. And that's all it is. I don't care if it becomes a big business. It's still just a game. In the meantime, you're covering a story like this where people are dying. I mean, this is the biggest story I'll ever cover. There's no question about it. Yeah. And that's what drives me. I want to see how this plays out. Hopefully positive. I want to see this.
We talked to Sally last week, and she said that she was glad that she's not in news right now to cover this story. Do you empathize? Can you understand where some journalist would feel like this is so different, so strange, too big for them for just local news or news in general?
I understand how Sally feels because she's a dedicated journalist first and foremost. She loves being on the front line of stories like this. I think anybody who's a journalist, anybody who gets into this should be passionate about this story because it is a story that is unique. We may never see again, experience quite like this again. It's a story that is personal because we're all going through it. You don't want to. I don't like sitting at home. I mean, but the first 2 weeks I was working at home, it drove me crazy because I want to be in the thick of it. So I understand how she feels completely, and I empathize with her because being at home and watching probably the worst feeling in the world. Those are great stories to tell out there.
Right.
So I understand how she feels.
Do you feel like most people are taking this serious, or we're in this world of everything is divided, right? There's people who tune in and see you and think, I don't believe what Andrew's saying because someone told me not to believe it. And we don't need to go deep into the politics of it, but it's a strange news world to be in. But do you feel like people are taking this serious? And if so, or if not, why?
I don't know because I am not out and about talking to people. Unlike other stories, you really can't gauge the public interest unless you hop on social media.
Yeah.
And that's never an accurate read of what we're feeling as a country or a nation, in my opinion. I hope we're taking it seriously. I think the number of what's going on demands that we take it seriously.
Sure.
I don't know, though. It all depends on how, when the country reopens, what happens. And until that happens, and people act one way or the other, I don't know. Like I said, we can't look at social media and use that as a gauge because, people have wild opinions. It's not balanced. It's not a real survey or poll. I can only hope, at least the people in the city of Pittsburgh are taking what's going on seriously because, I know I am because I'm exposed to it every day and I'm seeing what's going on. So, of course, I'm taking it seriously.
And how do you get back in the reporter poll? And I know that you're in the studio a lot, but when you see people in these gaggles and you see people up close and in these tight quarters to get that shot, to get that news, you're putting your life, all reporters are putting their life on the line and their loved one's life on the line, just like first responders are to get that news. So it's an interesting time.
Well, I think the one thing I've noticed about our reporters, and I credit them and I admire them. I mean, Marcia Cipriani, Joe Ingram, Mayo, David Kaplan. The list is on. I go onward and onward, but they're out there every day. You're right. I mean, I don't get out because I'm behind the desk. Although I'm actually going to be out Wednesday. We have a telethon with food banks. I'll be in Duquesne. As part of that telethon, I'll be out there with the people and sharing with their stories. But reporters are on the front lines. They're photographers on the front lines. Luckily, they practice social distancing. I mean, they're 60 plus away when they do interviews. They're smart about it. They know. But I admire our reporters. Like you cannot believe the stories they do, what they do. They're out there in the field all the time. They're not coming back to the station. They're out.
And Pittsburgh's a unique town, though. Are you concerned when you think about Pittsburgh, right? There's not a huge celebrity base in Pittsburgh. It goes Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby, Andrew Stockey. You're a far distant third, but you're still third. What about the glad handing and the shaking hands? And people want to see you and touch you and feel you. Are you a germaphobe? Are you worried about what the future holds, or do you feel like you can get back into this, tomorrow?
I'm a hugger. I am. I'll be the first to admit it. I love hugging people. I love shaking hands. It's funny. I was in Walmart one day. The gentleman recognized me, came to shake my hand. I had to tell him no, and that was hard. I'm a person who likes to feel people, touch people, be able to connect that way. There's nothing like a hug, and I know it's going to be different moving forward, and that's probably the hardest part. Human contact. Even if we practice safe and social distancing, I hope we still have that human contact in some form. May not be touch, but hopefully we have. I do. I hope that will help.
Me too.
Hey, Andrew, outside of the COVID-19 story, which I think you just said earlier is probably going to be the biggest story you'll ever cover in your career. Outside of that, though, what's the second biggest news story that you've covered, both from a news standpoint and from a sports standpoint?
Okay, the second biggest news story I've covered was the Stan Height shooting back in 2009. The 3 police officers who were killed responding to a disturbance in a home in Stan Heights. I just happened to get the call that morning. It was on my way out of town, and I was the only reporter to get a hold of. And it's just started doing news. I kind of drove down there, and I'm not even in the Stan Heights. And I got there just as SWAT team was getting there. So I did see some of the gunfire and stuff that transpired. And that's a story that stayed with me, and I covered it all the way through. I've become friends with some of the families that were involved. And it's something that's very personal to me because I was there and I saw it happen. Something that didn't need to happen. Recently, 2019. I'm sorry, I get that feedback today. Back in 2019, I did a 10-year retrospective and talked to some of the people involved. And it's interesting because you're talking to them as interview subject. You were there as they experienced all that. So that will always stay with me. And they may be the most emotional story I've ever covered.
Mm-hmm.
Sports, I have to say Super Bowl 43 was the most amazing game I've ever seen. I was there and saw the Harrison interception. I was at the very top of the stage and watched the unfold. I watched, here's Larry Fitzgerald coming down the sidelines, trying to chase Harrison, beats him to the goal line, scores a touchdown, game-winning drive, and it's Antonio Holmes. That, for my money, was the best Super Bowl, start to finish, I've ever seen. In person or on television. So those are my two big stories.
Well, definitely when you compare the two, but when you think of the Bettis Super Bowl, as I call it, and then when we hit back to back, right? And we have the Bettis Super Bowl, which was exciting and emotional in a lot of ways. It was that first one that we had, since Terry Bradshaw, which meant a lot to everyone in Pittsburgh. But boy, I agree with you, man. That Santonio Holmes catch, the James Harrison return. I mean, I think Ed and I talk about that. It's almost every time we're together. How do you know?
It's one of those things that you've never seen before. When two kid plays that dynamic, that big, in a game like that, and had one or the other not happen, they don't win the game. I mean, they don't. I mean, if Harrison doesn't make that pick before halftime, I mean, you figure the Cardinals are going to score at least 3 points. That's a deficit maybe the Steelers don't come back from. And then you have the Cardinals going ahead on Larry Fitzgerald catch, and you figure they're starting at their own 10-yard line, the Steelers, trying to drive down the field, and they do. And Santonio Holmes takes a catch on a pass that you will never see a pass that accurate and a catch like that. If those things don't transpire, they don't win the game. The Cardinals are Super Bowl champions.
It was incredible and just an unbelievable game to go back and forth. We actually had Jeff Reed on the show last week, former Steelers kicker Jeff Reed. And Brian, what did he tell us? That he had a hamstring injury that nobody knew about going in? And he revealed that.
That's right. Well, he said a lot of things, Andrew. I'm sure you're not surprised to hear. He said a lot of crazy things. But the one he did say, I know, right? The one he did say was that he had a hamstring injury that almost made him not able to walk onto the field. Really? And he told the trainer, "Don't tell Tomlin because I believe in myself more than my foot or my leg believes in me right now." And he was ready to go out there, but what an enormous dog that would have been if he went out there and just collapsed to try to tie the game with a field goal.
Oh, like I
didn't
said,
want to say that. I'm like, come on, Jeff.
It was an amazing football game and just an amazing day and night. And, it was one of those games that, you're so happy you were there. I mean, I could say, look, I saw arguably the two greatest plays in Super Bowl history.
My daughter, Andrew, was just born, so she was 8 days old during that Super Bowl, and I'll never forget it because we have it on, you can go from like 1 to 100 on volume, and we have it on like 4. And when Holmes made that catch, my wife's, I think, either holding on or breastfeeding my daughter as she's sleeping, right? Holmes makes that catch. I remember jumping up by myself in the living room with no noise at all, thinking, this is the greatest moment of my life. It was a good one. Well, hey, Andrew, thank you so much. I know Ed and I both appreciate this, and Ed owes you more than just a thank you for the job shadowing you did 20 years ago for him. It got him really far.
If it helped him get to this point and do this during this quarantine time, I'm happy I was able to help in some small way. I will say this: there's nothing that makes me happier when I see young people I work with at some point in their career go on to bigger and better things, and they have to remember something small that I did or something small that I told them. So that means the world to me. Thank you.
Well, Andrew, you were first class 20 years ago, and 20 some years later, you're still just as good, man. I appreciate it. It's great to reconnect with you here, and please keep in touch for sure.
I will. And one thing real quick, I just want to let everybody know, Wednesday we're doing a big telethon for Food Bank. Our neighbors really need help. They're very much in need right now. We'd love to have you come and, if anybody can contribute $5, $10, whatever, please do, because it does make a difference. I just wanted to make sure we got that out.
And what time is that going to be on Wednesday, Andrew?
It's all day. It's all day. I mean, during our newscast, but we're going to be there all day long. So, just hop online on the Food Bank website and donate what you can. You can do it tonight if you want. You don't have to wait till Wednesday.
Well, it's going to be a major impact. And right now, everyone's staying at home, but and you're going to be frontline for us, man. So we trust you, and we can't wait to hear the great news you have for us. And we know that great news always comes at times bad news, but we trust you. We believe in you. And this is going to be a monumental journey for our city as we get back outdoors soon, hopefully.
I will say this. I'm happy that I'm going to it here. I mean, this is the one city, if we're going to go through this, this is the city we want to
Andrew Stockey, thank you for the time. Great seeing you. Thank you for
Thanks,
everything.
Andrew.
Gentlemen, thank you.
All right,
Nice
thanks,
seeing you.
Andrew. There he goes, Andrew Stockey. Great to have him on. Wow, what great moments with Andrew tonight.
Great guy, just tremendous guy, and I truly mean that. When I was 17 years old, I think I was just starting my senior year in high school. I pretty much knew this is what I was going to go to school for and what I was going to do. But the school set that up. I went down, and dude, he was first class. I mean that 100% that day. He was the Andrew Stockey you see on TV, the one you saw here tonight, was the same one I saw 20 years ago. Man, it was the exact same guy. Great guy.
Yeah, for sure. That was great, and I can't wait to see how much they raise Wednesday. That's a great event. It seems like now this is the time that Pittsburgh's coming out. Also on Wednesday, we have the producer of, there's a 12-hour musical fest with Pittsburgh artists. We're going to have the producer on Wednesday to talk about everyone who's going to be on and where all the money's going to go for. That's going to, I believe, to first responders, the food bank with WTAE. It's a good time to be in Pittsburgh. I think this is where Pittsburgh shines.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It'll be great. We have a big week. I was talking a little bit before we had Andrew come on about some of our guests, and dude, we need you on here with me, man. I felt so weird being on by myself for the first 10 minutes. And plus, especially because I wasn't prepared. Because when I do this show with you each night, man, I don't have to prepare anything because it's just natural for us both to go back and forth. But when you're by yourself, you got to prepare, and I had nothing prepared. I'm just like, I felt like on Wayne's World when Garth takes over the camera. You know what part I'm talking about? He stands there and he's like,
no, you did great. I was trying to figure out my microphone, and my daughter Ellie got on my computer today to do schoolwork. So I don't know what she messed with. We'll have to try it tomorrow and make sure it still works for tomorrow night's show. But dude, you did great. Everyone was saying this is great. I don't know. I think the producers were talking. I think tomorrow night this is going to be 31 more days with Ed.
No, man, we need you with me. We need you. But I just had to crack up because the whole time I was rambling on, I kept thinking of that scene of Garth from Wayne's World.
Yeah.
He's like,
hello,
don't freak out, man.
Don't freak out.
Because Brian literally just said to me like a minute before we went on, like, dude, just you do it. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Like, what? No, you just go ahead. We're going to go live with you.
I just like looking at you. So I was in my office trying to figure out how to get the mic to work, and I'm watching, and then I realized I'm not even doing anything trying to get on the air. I just like watching you, and I like looking at your head, and you're just a friendly guy to look at. Phil Clark said, Brian, Ed, Brian, I'm late for the show. I'll catch you the next time. All right, Phil, sorry you missed it. Hey, we'll have the interview with Andrew up on YouTube tonight, along with all of these shows that we've done so far. So, man, Andrew's just a great. I'd like to hang out with Andrew. I think he'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure, absolutely, man. And he's, like I didn't realize he's been in town now for 25 years. That's that's pretty incredible. And Operation Football, I mean, on Friday nights is taken over. I mean, out of the three local channels, man, that is the go-to channel for 15 minutes of high school football highlights on a Friday night for sure.
Hey, if you'll notice that up in the corner above your head, we have some new graphics that I was excited to debut tonight. I thought that this would be the biggest mess up, but we have day 29 of quarantine, which is pretty exciting. I can't believe this is already going on 30 days. And then I had another graphic created, and I thought this was going to be the biggest problem of the show, but the biggest problem was I couldn't get on the air. But we created, just so everybody knows what the temperature is in Pittsburgh tonight. Currently, it's 8.89 Celsius.
Oh, Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
I didn't pay enough money to the graphics department to put it in Fahrenheit, but it's currently 8.89 degrees.
Well, I like your little logo here. I'm going to try to point. There it is right there. Are those little COVID-19 viruses that are – but they're supposed to be red. The viruses – so to be honest, because you just explained this to me now, this is up here the whole time. I thought it was probably day 29 of the quarantine, but I wasn't sure. It kind of looks like the logo for the Pittsburgh home show. Like or is it like a Christmas thing? Like I almost thought like you put a Christmas graphic up and those were like Christmas trees instead of little viruses that are hanging out.
That's interesting because it does look like the Pittsburgh Home Show logo. And by the way, tonight's show is brought to you by the Pittsburgh Home Show.
Or Pittsburgh Home.
Pittsburgh Home. Sorry, we're not operating on a very good level tonight. Well, Ed, I'm sorry I was late for the interview with Andrew. It was great to talk to him and
Yeah.
Great to see you. Let's catch up tomorrow. Maybe we can get on and make sure that everything's working so we don't have technical difficulties. But you did a great job. I miss talking to you, and great to have Andrew Stockey on.
Yeah, awesome to have him. And tomorrow night we got Bill Powerhouse Hughes.
Yes.
He'll talk some wrestling with us and also some local high school sports and college football and basketball too. I'm sure we'll get his take on how all these athletes aren't able to finish out their senior years.
Yeah, and it will be interesting too to ask Powerhouse if he can wrestle in front of an empty arena, because it is one thing to talk about baseball, and baseball sometimes can get 6,000 people in an April or May, or if you're the Pirates, June, July, August, September. But wrestling, man, you still need that reaction as boos. So I'm interested to hear if what Powerhouse has to say about the live events.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Should be a good one tomorrow night.
All right. Well, hey, great to see you, man. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody, but we will return tomorrow night. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thanks to Andrew Stockey and Ed Troop for running the show. It was excellent tonight.
Hopefully you weren't too bored for the first 10 minutes.
I thought it was great.
Well, and real quick before you go, it was also funny that we had Andrew's voice but no picture, and we had your picture but no voice. I thought maybe we could just combine the two. We'd have your picture up there and let Andrew's voice go over top of you. I thought it would have been great.
Well, here's the thing. I was looking at it. I could still see everything, and I'm trying to operate it. So I see Andrew Stockey has entered the shot, and now he's there, and his video isn't there, but his audio is. So I put him up, and then I hear him going, Ed, hello, Ed. And then the whole thing was madness. The whole thing was madness.
But we got it to work in the end. That's all that mattered.
Yeah, he was great. Thanks, Andrew, for being on. And Ed, I'll see you tomorrow, and thank you.
All right. Stay healthy, everyone.
Well, Andrew's hair looked great, didn't it?
He said he might go my style. Wonder if you put on TAE in the next week and then he's bald and you'll know this influenced him. This was it.
Wow. Andrew went Troop. He went Troop.
He said he might go. Did you hear me? He said, because I might go with what Ed's got going on.
Wow. That's high praise.
I say go for it, man.
Bald and beautiful. All right, Ed. Good night, buddy. There you go. There's Ed Troop. I'm Brian Carruthers. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow with Bill Powerhouse Hughes. Bye, everybody.